Corey was a girl dad. Corey was a firefighter. Corey went to church every Sunday. Corey loved his community. And most especially, Corey loved his family. Corey was an avid supporter of the former president. He was so excited to be there last night with him in the community. Corey dove on his family to protect them last night at this rally. Corey was the very best of us.
Now, Caitlin, to your original question, I mentioned I'm here in Bethel Park. Again, we're just south of Pittsburgh, about 35 miles south of Butler, where the Trump campaign event took place. This is where Thomas Matthew Crooks lived. There has been a pretty decent police presence in and around this area of this neighborhood all throughout the day as investigators continue to search for clues, to search for that motive. But we were actually able to speak with another student who went to the same high school as Crooks in the past few years. And this student, his name is Jason Kohler, he said that while he wasn't in any of the same classes with Crooks, he said that this was a student who he would see around the hallway with no facial expressions, just really bland expressions on his face, and also said that he believed that Crooks had been bullied because he was not really part of any in-crowds, saying to us in an interview just recently that he felt that Crooks had a target on his back in school. So again, we're still waiting to hear if any of that may have led to what investigators are trying to find out, what was the motive, what led up to the shooting. But as you heard from even the levels of President Biden, still no public information as to what caused Crooks to go up on that roof and shoot at the former president. Caitlin.
Danny, have we heard from any of his family members?
So CNN reached out to his father last night when we were trying to, frankly, on our end, trying to confirm the identity of this potential shooter. We were able to get in contact with the father, but at the time he was, frankly, trying to figure out what was going on in this entire situation himself, and he was at the time waiting to hear back from law enforcement. We have not heard much more from him since, but we do know that the gun was actually traced back to Crooks' father, Matthew Crooks. That's actually how law enforcement was able to identify the shooter in this situation, Caitlin.
All right, Danny, if you hear more, keep us updated. Evan Perez is also tracking the other part of this investigation, the federal aspect of this. And Evan, obviously, you heard Biden just mention that the FBI director was in the Situation Room with him. We saw the Attorney General Merrick Garland standing behind his shoulder. What else are we learning about what they've determined now that we're closing in, getting close to being 24 hours since this attempted assassination of Donald Trump?
Well, the fact, Caitlin, that we have a shooter who is dead makes this a much more complicated investigation for the FBI, because now there's no one to interview, right? So they are going through the normal police work, which is going through every facet of this this shooter's life, going through everything that he may have written. There is so far they've not found any indication of social media or anything that might explain what happened yesterday or what led up to yesterday's events. We do know that at the scene there, when they did an initial search, they did find some explosive material both in his car and at the home where he and his family resided. So that's one of the precautions that were being taken last night as the investigation was just getting underway. But one of the parts of this that I think is we're going to learn a lot more about in the coming hours is certainly how close the police were in trying to stop this shooter. We know for a fact that from witnesses that there were multiple people who were trying to get law enforcement's attention. Law enforcement themselves saw him. They saw him near the magnetometers where the Secret Service screens people going into the rally. They saw him, they thought he was suspicious looking, and they watched him, and they also shared that information with Secret Service. Now the question is, how did he end up on that roof without being noticed, and of course fire off those shots before the tactical team, before the counter sniper team from the Secret Service finally shot him?